Well, we just got a Game of Thrones prequel trailer. Kinda. Well, not really, but I'm still excited. Hey, welcome to Sporking News Podcast. My name is Scott, and Game of Thrones YouTube channel just dropped a Game of Thrones prequel trailer by HBO, it says. But it's really not a Game of Thrones prequel trailer. It's one of those featurettes, 55 seconds, what HBO would put in their like Blu-ray DVD set. And this one's about Fire and Blood. And it just talks about King's Landing, how Aegon landed there, started a fort there. And then Maegor the Cruel actually ended up finishing up the Red Keep. And it really doesn't talk about much. It's what's in the description that tells you just a little bit more of what we're going to get and who's involved in the series. So, Game of Thrones prequel trailer, HBO, Targaryen history and lore, and Fire and Blood, King's Landing. Back in early 2019, HBO announced Game of Thrones prequel phase, House of the Dragon. A Game of Thrones prequel is coming to HBO Max. The series is co-created by George R.R. Martin and Ryan Condal. Ryan, you might know him. He previously worked on a show called for USA, I believe it is, Colony, which was I watched the first season. It was good. It didn't hold me, but it was a good show. It was a cool concept. I just didn't finish it. But if anybody did, let me know how it was and if I should keep watching it. But they will be the showrunners. The series, I'm sorry, is co-created by George R. R. Martin and Ryan Condal. Miguel Sapochnik, I did that pretty good, will partner with Condal as showrunner and will direct the pilot and additional episodes. Condal will be writing the series. Now, joining the prequel production under George R. R. Martin's guidance, using his book that's now available, a brand new venture for HBO in the world of A Game of Thrones, Targaryen history. The new Game of Thrones prequel is closing in on a pilot order. So I thought they already ordered a season, so or two seasons, at least a season. But now it's making it sound like they're closing in on a pilot order. So if someone knows how that works, can you explain it to me? It focuses on the Targaryens. George R. R. Martin and Ryan Condal, again writing, will feature Aegon's conquest 300 years before the show. So that's where we're going to start, I guess. And then this is the news that I was waiting to hear. Targaryen prequel will span all the way from Aegon's conquest to Dance of Dragons, the Targaryen Civil War. So pretty much it's going to be the Fire and Blood Volume 1. If it goes well, maybe they go into what George is considering Volume 2, and that will be like the Blackfire rebellions, where King Aegon, the third, was it? I'm sorry, I don't have my notes with me. King Aegon the third, I believe he had a lot of bastards. Is it the third? Well, let me know. He had a lot of bastards, and on his deathbed, he actually legitimized them all. And they started a house Blackfire, which they just inverted the Targaryen flag. And it caused a great, I think, 5 different wars. Daemon Blackfire was the first to rebel against the crown. His father gave him the ancestral sword of House Targaryen. So usually that's passed down to the next king. So when his brother took the seat of power in King's Landing, God, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his brother's name too. He was more of like a half Martell from Dorne. He did not look like a Targaryen. And a lot of people started saying maybe he isn't. And then you see Daemon Blackfire, and he was big and strong and a great fighter. And people started whispering to him. And, they pretty much talked him into starting a rebellion. And it was an awesome rebellion. It's a great story that some of Dunk and Egg kind of slides through. Great novella. If you haven't read that from George R. R. Martin, start with Dunk and Egg. So good. It's quick reads, and it's a little lighter, but the history, there's so much history and lore that I've read it all. I've read it, reread it. I love it. I'm a little disappointed with George R. R. Martin for taking almost over 8 years to put out his next book, but what are you going to do? I wish he wasn't focused on something new until the book was out. He does say he's not writing episodes until the book is finished, but come on. This is a big deal, this pilot. So yes, you have to be writing the pilot. Any of the Game of Thrones episodes that George wrote for the series Game of Thrones were some of my favorites. George R. R. Martin has a very unique style of very detailed writing. He brings you into the world. He also can drop a little nugget of something that you think is just a throwaway line, and then 2 books later, it's the downfall of a family. So it's pretty interesting. I'm really kind of excited to see what's going to happen with this show. You got the best director from the Game of Thrones that I think of, Miguel, running the show. And when you watch the featurettes talking about Game of Thrones, season 8, you could tell that he wanted to do more. He wanted somebody big to die in the Long Night episode, and they wouldn't let him, Dan and Dave. So I have a feeling this is going to go back to George's work, the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, when it was awesome. And I am giving it a chance. I was a little upset earlier. I'm not going to lie. I love George. I wish he wasn't trolling us. Some people feel like he's trolling us and he's not going to finish these books. He is a great troll, but we will see. I mean, he's in his 70s now. I just don't want somebody else to finish his last 2 books. And I believe this book is done. I think Winds of Winter is done. I think he did a rewrite of some of it because of what happened in season 8. And even if he didn't, he will explain it better. Why Dany would go ballistic all of a sudden, and things of that nature, and Bran being the king. I mean, the first actual chapter, not the first real chapter in Game of Thrones is Bran. So why not end with Bran? I've always thought that myself. But what do you think? Are you excited for this prequel series? Will it go to air? They canceled the other one. I really hope it does. I need something better than what we're getting in TV right now. And the first few seasons of Game of Thrones were some of the best TV I've ever seen. So let me know. Please hit the subscribe button if you liked what you heard here. Hit ding the bell. I do go over fantasy. I do go over sci-fi. I like to review. I like to drop news on your most popular TV shows and movies and books. So thank you for watching this long. And don't forget, if they're calling you names, they've already lost the war. Have a great day, everybody.